Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Scary Stories by the Campfire. We are your counselors tonight, Jeremy.
And Jason.
And first and foremost, I just want to apologize. We did have a little bit of technical difficulties getting ready, but here we are. Phantasm
It was all
3.
Jeremy's fault.
It is. It is all my fault. The tall man. It's the dwarves, or what they're referred to now as lurkers.
Yeah, they're called lurkers in this movie. This is like the first time they got their like official name, isn't it? Like,
Yes, this is the first movie of the series where they actually used the term lurkers to describe the dwarves and sentinels to describe the spheres.
Did we get it? We got a different sphere in this one.
Yes, we got the black one.
Black one. What's the black one?
The black one was Jody.
Was it specifically Jody?
Yeah, like it's legitimately him.
Oh god, we are jumping into this way too fast. People are just starting to climb in going, what have I missed? Let me tell you guys, you missed nothing. Okay.
So, what'd you think of Lord of the Dead?
I didn't like it as much.
As the second one?
Here's the thing. It's still here's the way that I've seen these movies so far, okay? I'm enjoying them. But the first one was still by far the best, in my opinion. So it's still like top tier because of the mystery and the surrounding, and whether you don't know if it's real, if it's fantasy or anything like that. And then the second one, I thought was like real zany. We had a good time laughing at it, and there were aspects of it that were like really good. But for the most part, it's just kind of a straightforward film. This one, once again, takes another step down. And to me, this movie, I think the problem with this movie is that it's like Phantasm the Road Trip.
No.
Because that's all they're doing. They're driving around. I mean, the tall man's barely in the movie, I think. Yeah, at least from what I've seen, he was barely in the movie. We replace our Mike with what's his name? Tim. Little kid Tim. And for a good portion of this movie, it felt like post-apocalyptic. Like when he pulled into town, it was like there was no one there, population 0, and it's just dirty, rundown, dusty.
Yeah.
And I guess what, the tall man's coming to town and just killing people?
He's taking their bodies like he does everywhere else.
Yeah, so he's taking their dead bodies, right? Like
yes.
They're already dead bodies. So who's killing the people? Is he killing them? The lurkers killing them?
I don't know if it's anything like what we've seen in the last few movies. It's car accidents all the time.
Apparently so.
These cars love to explode in these movies.
They love to explode in these movies. And so this movie, like I said, felt like Phantasm the Road Trip. We get introduced to new characters, and we get our old Mike back.
Yep.
And here's the funny thing.
We actually got the original cast back.
Yeah, we get the original cast back. Here's the thing about it. The female character that was introduced in the last movie, she gets killed off at like the beginning of this movie. Like they show like what they call it? They call it like archive footage or whatever, where it's like scenes from the second movie. You see her, and then she gets, because the end of the second movie was that her and Mike were trapped in the back of the hearse. Reggie was outside the hearse, and the hearse drives off. That's the end of the movie. And in this movie, it picks up right there, and the hearse drives off into, I don't know, a ditch, a tree. It doesn't matter. And then just proceeds to explode. And then when Reggie gets there, she's getting her face nommed on. And
by a dwarf.
I was sitting there with Raven. I looked at her. I said, her character was entirely pointless. And I'm gonna tell you something. This is what I read. So, well, hello there, Raven. Speaking of the devil, as she pops up in there with a looking emoji there. I read this is that when the studio got involved in Phantasm 2, they had to pick. I guess they put a bunch of stipulations in there. Like one of them was they had to pick between Reggie or Mike. They only got to keep one actor. The other one had to be, I guess, a working actor or something like that, right? So they decided to keep Reggie, which, in my opinion, best move ever.
Oh yeah.
Reggie would make would if Reggie had been played by someone different, the whole second movie would have been a bomb for me. And another stipulation was that they had to put this female character in there as a romantic interest, like a love interest for Mike. That was the only reason she was put in the second movie.
Yes.
That was the only reason. So when what's his name, the guy who created the series, got full creative control back over it for the third movie, he promptly removed her from the film. I guess he didn't want her in the film at all, like the character itself, and proceeded to just kill her off at the beginning of the movie. And I'm going, we're hearing a female talking. One of y'all's background.
I have no idea where it's coming from.
I mean, I don't hear the girls talking. No, just keep me updated on that if either one of you guys hears anything. Anyone out there hears anything strange, let us know. We'll try to adjust these things as we see fit. But yeah, so they promptly killed her off. And at that point in time when I was watching the movie itself, I was just like, well, she was a waste. I mean, the ties that they have where I guess they can see each other in like some sort of dream state or something like that does transpire later on. But overall, it was just kind of like, eh. And apparently she had the little silver ball thing in her head too, or the gold one, the gold sentinel, which was another thing.
Yeah, she did.
Which was really weird because I guess her and Mike, spoiler alert, Mike has a gold ball in his head too. I don't know. The movie was just kind of hard to follow for a little while. You got Reggie and Tim and Rocky, and you know, Reggie's just trying to hook up with Rocky because he's our Ash Williams of this.
He really is. Like, he may not have a chainsaw for a hand, but he makes up for it with a 4-person boomstick.
Which was put to the most ridiculous scene ever. Okay. Right at the beginning of the movie, he pulls. Jeremy's already laughing because he knows. Reggie pulls Mike away from the burning hearse, right? And he's trying to wake him up. And he looks up because they're in this like forested area. He looks up and there's a bunch of these little lurkers, right? If no one's seen the movie, they look like Jawas. Okay. They're Jawa sized and they wear little cloaks
With ugly faces.
And they're climbing up in the trees. They're climbing up in the trees. So he's like, oh man. And he reaches down, he grabs that 4-barrel shotgun. Ravenfire saying every time Jeremy turns on his audio, the female voice comes back.
That's weird. I don't have anything going.
You got ghosts over there? Are we picking up strange audio sounds from beyond?
Quick, let's draw a figure on the frame.
Okay.
This is what you're seeing.
Frame, and this is what you're seeing right here.
Right. All right, there's a spot right there.
Yeah. See that ghost? See that ghost right there? So he points the 4-barrel boomstick up into the air and shoots straight up. He shoots straight up, and the funny thing is that he manages to hit 4 of these things. Now you don't see him because it's by far one of the most ridiculous scenes because you see him standing there. He points the shotgun up. One drops. Ba-doom. Another one drops. Ba-doom. A third one. Doo-doom. And then the final fourth one. Doo-doom. But here's the thing. They all didn't clump together. They didn't fall in the same spot. They fell all around him. So it's not like, you could not have hit all of those unless they were a bit higher up and the spread was a bit wider. But it was just the way and it was so comedic. It was boom, 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 boom. So, I guess at some point, Jody is a black sentinel, and yeah, I guess he proceeds to communicate with Mike and whatnot, and then at some point, Mike gets kidnapped. I think.
Yes.
Taken away.
That's the whole premise of the movie is Reggie chasing after Mike and trying to save him with the help of, the little kid and sorry.
The little kid, he was like Mike replacement. He was like young Mike replacement, except he was...
Yeah, his name was Tim. And then you had Rocky, who the entire movie Reggie is trying to get with. The entire movie.
That's her one purpose. She is supposed to be this hardcore character because she attacks Reggie in a mausoleum with her cohort, and of course you get the iconic scene with the ball going into the face and drilling through the forehead. You got to do that in every movie. Then it tried it with Rocky and what? It sounds like someone's talking in the shower.
That's random.
Oh, okay.
Ghosts.
You got showering ghosts now. At least they're keeping themselves clean, I suppose. But yeah, for me, this movie was just very kind of What was this, number 3? I'm really starting to worry about 4, and I know 5 is supposed to be really bad anyway, so I'm really just kind of worried about those, because this movie really just didn't really hold me that much. I mean, Reggie, having Reggie there was great, and seeing the tall man's always fun. It's always fun to see him kind of change, because they even flash back to like the first movie with like original film footage, and he had like dark hair, and then this movie he's like all white head. It's like
he getting old.
Like a never. Well, does he ever age? He dies and then more show up.
I was gonna say, like, that's just what it is. Like, it's not the same tall man as we saw in the original.
So that original one is still in a hole in the ground.
And then the second one is still, well, his lifeless corpse got thrown back into the portal, and a new one walked out.
And then you have, well, it doesn't really matter because it's
Frozen tall man.
Yeah.
Popsicle.
I completely forgot about the ending. I know Tim got pulled out of a window.
Yes.
Reggie was stuck up on the wall with all the sentinels holding him, and I think, well, if I'm not, I did kind of glance ahead a little bit, and I think this was Tim's last appearance. So
yeah.
So we don't get no more Tim. So we're just gonna assume he's dead now. And do we get any more? I don't even remember what happened to Rocky.
She drove off.
Yeah, so we probably won't ever see her again either.
So let's talk about Tim though for a second. Let's talk about this man-killing Home Alone Kevin McAllister.
Yeah, he looked like a little Billy Batson to me.
That man threw a frisbee with razors taped to it.
And it wasn't even like a normal throw. It wasn't like hold the frisbee itself and then just kind of toss it. He like underhanded. He's just like whoop.
Whee.
And that thing went up, came back around, and just came down and split that guy. He threw that hatchet and hit that woman in the head. Just whack.
After hitting the dude in the leg with it.
Yeah. That was a mean. Well, I mean, he was nice to Reggie, and he can't drive very well, so there's that too.
I just found it so humorous when they got that hotel room and Reggie convinced him to sleep in the car.
Yeah. Reggie at his finest. He's just like, bro, sleep in the car. You know, we only got one bed, sleep in the car, bro. And we were sitting there, and I was sitting there with Raven, and, you know, Reggie's like hitting on Rocky. He's like, hey, come on, blah, 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 blah. You know, he's sitting on her, whatever. She's like, okay, fine.
And she handcuffs him to the
Yeah, she's
bed.
like, if we're going to do it, you're going to do it my way. She pulls out these handcuffs. And he's like, yeah. And she handcuffs him to the headboard. He's like, yeah. And then she's like, all right, good night. And rolls over, and Raven's like, yeah. You go, girl. I'm like, and he has to sleep there with his handcuffed to this thing, which, you know, I guess Reggie doesn't know how to take no for an answer.
Apparently not. So apparently, after the mild box office results of Phantasm II, Universal chose not to personally pursue a sequel, but did offer to distribute it should Don Coscarelli and Associates make it themselves. With no casting, Coscarelli offered the role of Mike to his original performer, who returned to the role after almost 16 years.
I heard,
Oh, and Mike's actor, his wife plays the nurse at the beginning in the hospital that's on the headphones.
oh, that's his wife?
That's his real wife. The one who's just like,
Yeah, as bad things are happening.
not just bad things, lots of bad things.
No, she's sitting. Anything could have happened. She wouldn't have known. I'm pretty sure, like, listening to headsets in a hospital is probably like a bad thing.
Bob Ivy, who did he play?
Bob Ivy.
Yeah. Must be a stunt double. He was given his own little Sentinel custom-made silver sphere for doing the dangerous Hearst stunt.
Oh, that's wonderful. Hey guys, I nearly blew myself up. What do I get as a bonus? Oh, we're gonna custom make you a silver ball.
So Don Coscarelli actually reportedly admitted during filming that he had run out of ideas after finishing the script for this sequel and had no clue which direction the story would take in case there was a fourth movie. He jokingly added that if a Phantasm 4 was ever filmed, it would actually be just to make money out of it.
And then there was a fourth movie.
Yeah, there he is.
And then there was a fifth movie.
Yeah, there is.
And then the actor who played the tall man died.
Reggie's actually the only cast member to be present on set every day of principal photography, either acting or helping behind the camera.
Well, I hate to tell you, okay, the first movie focused on Mike and focused on Reggie. Second movie
And Jody.
focused on, that's what I meant. It focused on Mike and Jody, and Reggie was just kind of the extra character. And then the second movie focused on Mike and Reggie, and then this movie focuses more on Reggie. And Reggie and Tim, I think Reggie and Tim actually have more screen time than Mike does, because he spends a lot of time off screen.
But you know what's funny? I actually liked the chemistry between Reggie and Tim in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, Reggie did try to drop him off at a. So Reggie ended up just losing a bunch of money there.
He's going to pay that woman to take him, and she hid in the trunk.
Yeah, he went and dropped off Tim at this woman's place, who I guess she has a bunch of orphans from all across town, because apparently the tall man wiped everyone out. And he's sitting there talking with the lady, and then he gives her a big old wad of cash. And I think he was just paying her not just to take Tim, but to kind of, I guess giving them money to, take care of all of them. probably food or whatever. I don't think it was just a buyout for Tim, but yeah, it was. He ends up giving her the money, and then he drives off, and Tim's kind of wary of it, and he climbs in the back of the trunk, and so Reggie ended up losing all that extra money that he had. Not that it mattered, because apparently he's a walking bank account.
Man, so you remember when that dude who was trying to kill Tim fell in the hole? It was the third dude.
Oh, yes.
If you look close enough at the side of it, you could see where the drape was hanging down the side of the hole.
Yeah, kind of like in the first movie.
Yeah.
They just don't know how to dig a hole. Just dig a hole. Oh. Yeah, this movie was just kind of for me. It's definitely not my favorite.
So I take it ain't gonna get a high out of 10 rating for you this time around.
Probably not. I mean, like I said, I think the chemistry between Tim and Reggie is really, really good, especially once Reggie realizes that Tim is more of an asset than a hindrance.
Yeah.
Because they get in that, because he drops him off. He drops him off at the orphanage or whatever, or the woman's house to raise him, and then he sneaks back into the trunk. And that's when he gets to the mausoleum and he gets attacked by Rocky and her pal there. And Tim actually comes in and saves them from the Sentinel. And Reggie's kind of like, yeah, that'll work. You'll work. And he decided to keep him along. And even kind of the chemistry between I don't want to say like Rocky's chemistry blended real well, but there was a bit of charm that she brought to the group. So
Yeah, especially watching her friend die.
yeah, she was kind of quick about that, but it was kind of funny because he's like, she was they were trying to describe how this guy is supposed to be some sort of alien or something like that, and how he's going around killing towns or whatever. She's just like, yeah, okay, I'll roll with it. People in these movies are very gullible, I guess. They just believe anything.
But it's weird because now they're trying to say it's an alien. But the whole thing that didn't make sense to me, especially when I first watched it, was the being like Jody being able to show himself outside of the ball as like a hologram, I guess.
Yeah, that was I didn't get those scenes.
Like, to me, it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's hold on real quick. It's just kind of weird the way it works because, there's rules that are happening. I mean, in the first movie, I don't know, I just assumed that the Sentinels are little silver balls. Then you're introduced to the gold Sentinels in the second movie, and this one you get the black one, but now they're trying to show you that the Sentinels have brains in them.
They're people.
That they're people, yeah. Let's see here.
Especially that one that went straight through that zombie's face.
Let's see here.
I did like that, though. I did like that they kind of got away from the lurkers and kind of went more for the dead part.
Black Sentinel. After being burnt by the tall man for his disobedience, Jody's Sentinel turned into a black color, suggesting that black marks independence. It's also the only time a Sentinel is shown actually changing colors. This may not actually be a specific type, as it is possible that Jody's was simply charred black from the burning.
Yeah, when it took out her nunchucks.
Yeah, it cut right through those things. Gold Sentinel, a superior version with added torture devices. The tall man's own brain is contained within a Gold Sentinel, as is Mike, suggesting that only the truly special minds are kept in these. Since the tall man was still alive and Michael hadn't been changed yet, it is unknown whose mind the first gold sphere contained in Phantasm 2.
One of the versions of the tall man.
Yeah, one of the versions.
That's crazy.
Let's see here. The Silver Sentinel. The most common type, the tall man typically amputates the minds of his victims, which we saw, by placing their brains within the Sentinel devices, which is kind of weird because he has to shrink the brain because these things aren't big.
He's pickling it.
He's doing something.
He's pickling the brain, make it smaller.
So he placing their brains within the Sentinel devices, thus creating lurkers and Sentinels simultaneously. So yeah, he has to shrink the body first. He must be shrinking the body and then taking the brain out. The Silver Sentinels patrol the tall man's territory and seem to attack mainly on instinct, as they are capable of harming the tall man himself if he is caught off guard. The Silver Sentinels also double as keys in the tall man's lair, which has doors that can be only opened through a special lock in the shape of concave hemisphere with two slits to fit the prongs. So what you're telling me is you're making attack dogs that did who say pingaling? Pingalingin? What? Did you say pingalingin?
No, I said pickling.
Pickling. Pickling. Like, like you do with cucumbers.
Pingling?
Pingling.
Yeah, we used to could.
That was I think that was a type of animal. A pingling.
I'm not sure, honestly.
Oh, I think it's like a type of like an armadillo, I think. I'm trying to see. Let's see here. You got anything with like lurkers? I want to know about lurkers.
They're Jawas. What else is there to know?
I need more, Jeremy. I need more. We know how the sentinels are created. Now I need to know how the lurkers are created.
He shrinks them down, and when he takes the brains out, they become lurkers.
Okay, how in... Oh, my God, seriously? They have a whole Wikipedia page on the quadruple-barreled shotgun.
Oh, yeah. Reggie Shotgun gets his own page.
Yeah, it doesn't really explain a whole lot. Phantasm III Lord of the Dead. After recovering Mike from the crashed hearse, Reggie finds a shotgun lying nearby, suggesting that one of the trio, or the tall man himself, recovered it, and uses it to kill 3 lurkers hiding on the trees before being overwhelmed. When the
He
tall
killed
man
5.
reappeared- I thought he killed 4.
He shot 1 in the face and then 4 out of the tree.
Yeah, I was specifically talking about the tree, but okay. Yeah, when the tall man reappears at his house to kidnap Mike, Reggie once again tries to shoot him, but is knocked unconscious by the tall man's telekinetic power.
Reggie gets knocked out a lot, by the way.
Well, yeah, he gets knocked out a lot. That's what he does. And apparently the lurkers have no page. The shotgun gets a page.
They're not cool enough to get a page.
But the lurkers don't. That is
Because who doesn't want to load 4 shotgun rounds every time you shoot?
I have no idea, but all I know is that pages aren't that great because they're not really giving me too much information.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's usually how it goes. So, the flying hearse stunt was performed by Bob Ivy using a 7-foot tall pipe ramp. He managed to get the massive hearse airborne and it traveled over 160 feet through the air.
That's a lot of feet.
It's a lot of
That's
air.
a that's a lot of foots. He flew a bunch of foots.
But wait, there's more! Most of the shooting took place at night, forcing the cast and crew to spend several weeks of night in spooky locations such as a real mausoleum and cemetery.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I've been. I now actually we actually when I was younger, actually went to a cemetery at night. Um and it wasn't all that creepy. It was out in the middle of the woods. It was like I can't remember where it was at. But we drove up there.
Coon Hill.
Oh, were you there?
No, I
You
just
weren't.
know of it.
You oh, okay. Yeah, you said it was Coon Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went up there and it's this kind of small cemetery that's kind of in the woods. We were out there one night. We are trying to do some sort of
Paranormal investigations.
yes, because it's supposed to be like a paranormal. I mean, I think I read it on like one article where it was supposed to have some sort of haunted activity, and we went out there, and the only thing that was scary out there were the bugs. You know, there may have been like an animal or something out there, maybe like a possum or something like that, but for the most part, it's just flies and mosquitoes the size of pennies, and yeah, it was, you're out there trying to be, like, real quiet, like, "Okay, let's listen for the sounds of the spirits and whatnot," and all you hear is like, swatting them away. So, no, I mean, cemetery at night's not really, like, the scariest thing that, you know I mean, for some people it is. I've never been in, like, inside a real mausoleum, um, but I think that would be really cool to check out, um, especially something like the size of this movie, because I think the ones we have here aren't even really I don't entirely know what you would consider a mausoleum. Maybe, like, like the ones we have downtown?
Yeah,
They're more like just crypts?
yeah. Typically, a mausoleum is a full-on building that's got multiple and multiple and multiple different uh, grave setups inside.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wanna maybe I'll see if I can find a mausoleum, if we got one somewhere close by so we can check it out. I think that'd be a fun little, um, trip, but, yeah, the cemeteries aren't really that scary for me. Actually, I do find them kinda peaceful, a couple times you go out there during the day and sit down, and we actually got one, right down the road from work. I usually walk to go grab lunch sometimes, and sometimes I walk past, I go, "Hmm, maybe I'll find a bench out there and go sit down and eat," but, I'm no tall man, so I don't just hang around cemeteries for fun sometimes.
Let's talk about Tim's parents' death real quick, because I just thought about that.
I don't even remember his parents. I don't even
So his
remember his
parents,
parents
his
dying.
dad died, and they're at the funeral, right? And they're getting ready to leave, and I guess Tim literally watches the tall man like
Oh, yeah.
levitate the casket out of the ground. And the mom walks over there. She's all like, "What you doing to my husband?" And he like opens the casket, and the dad like opens his eyes and like grabs her.
I'm gonna correct you on that, Jeremy. The mother did nothing. Because I even thought it was weird because I do remember now that you mentioned it. Tim was sitting at the grave, and he's sitting on it like it's a dock at the bay. He's got his feet dangling in the hole, and his mom's like, "Hey, Tim, we gotta go." And Tim's like,
Sitting in the grave of my dad.
he's like,
Be sitting at the grave of my dad.
yeah. I mean, she did walk over to him, but what had happened was she didn't like go up there, and Jerry made it sound like she kind of like berated him or something like, "Oh, what are you doing now?" And Tim was like, "Hey, they haven't buried him yet. Why haven't they buried him yet?" And the mom's like, "Oh, they'll probably do it tomorrow." Which, no, I'm pretty sure they don't just leave caskets uncovered overnight. But so they decide they're leaving, and Jeremy was correct when the tall man shows up. He telekinetically lifts the casket out. Apparently, no, don't be jumping in here, PJ. Let me finish my story. So,
Ugh.
yeah, so tall man shows up, and I guess in this movie, he after the first movie, he just decided he's not gonna lift caskets anymore. He's just gonna use his brain.
He's too
And
bold.
yeah, he telepathically, telekinetically, telepath is entirely different. Telekinetically lifts the casket up and starts sliding it into the hearse. Starts sliding into the hearse. They're both staring. They're like, "Whoa." So the mom goes down there. She goes to the tall man, but here's the thing about it. This is where I thought it was weird. She walks up to the tall man, and he's standing there. He's got his eyes kind of closed because he's sitting there, and then all of a sudden, he kinda opens his eyes, and she just kinda turns around and proceeds to open the casket. So she says nothing to him. She walks up to him, kinda looks at him, turns around, opens the casket, and there's the dead husband, and he's just like, "Bah!" He wakes up, and he's all alive, and just grabs her and pulls her in, and lid closes, and, he puts the hearse or the casket in the back of the hearse. And Tim's like, "Oh, no, you don't."
He goes,
And
he
he does,
jumps in the hearse with them.
yeah, he does what every other Tim does in these movies, which is get in the trunk because that's what he's good at. And he climbs into the back of the hearse, and tall man's driving down, da, 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 and the door closes behind him, so he's trapped in the back, and he decides, I'm gonna open this casket. Went really well for my mom, so he opens up the casket, and there's the dad in there, and like the mom's dead. I don't know, maybe he strangled her or something, but he's like, he slams the lid back down, and the tall man's like, what's that noise? And he kind of glances back there, and Tim's like, oh, no, you don't. And he proceeds to jump head first through the glass out the back of the hearse.
And that hearse is probably going about 25, 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, Tim is by far the hardcorest character in this entire show because he jumps out the back, dives and rolls, and he looks up, and the tall man just keeps driving. Like, he doesn't even bother to turn around or anything.
I want to know
So,
where they were getting all these hearse from. It's like they had a sale at Walmart or something. Especially
all
when
right.
especially when they pulled into that like hotel and there's like hearse everywhere. And they all had different colors. There was a pink one and a red one and a black one and a blue one.
And just so much. Um, but I mean, like I said, this movie, besides kind of just the weird aspects of it, it didn't feel like entirely a Phantasm movie. Because, like I said, it seemed like the tall man wasn't in it that much. You got this weird subplot where he's going from like town to town. Hearsts are us. Really? Hearsts are us.
Oh, that's a good one. Welcome to Hearse R Us, where you got your favorite hearse in all different
Well,
colors.
I am going to say not Hearsts are us, but probably like maybe Hearstland. Like like Heartland, Hearstland. Yeah, don't laugh, guys. It's not that funny. So, but yeah, overall, I think this movie, just kind of, it didn't feel like a Phantasm movie. They did a lot of driving, and the weird subplot where the tall man's going from town to town to town to town, just kind of cleaning them out, and it just doesn't feel like there was much in the way of anything going on. They had the weird things with the Jody Sentinel being able to, I don't know, pull Mike out of like another place. They did that, right? He kind of opened up like a dimension or something. Reggie and him went through, and
Yep.
then he's like, "No, you have to come back before." Oh no, the tall man's here, and then they kind of a lot of this movie just didn't make sense.
Well, on a 1 to 10 scale, Jason, how do you think 10,000 people ranked it on IMDb?
Okay, so we're on IMDb right now. So guys,
1 to 10.
go ahead and throw out a 1 to 10, and we'll answer 4. I'm gonna go with. We're if I went with a 5. I'm gonna go with a. I know it's not gonna be over. If anything, if this movie was considered good, probably no more than a 6. But I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with a 3. It feels like that type of movie.
Jason, I really wish you had went the other way.
Well, it was a 6.
6 out of 10.
Are you serious?
6 out of 10.
Oh man, 6 out of 10.
What do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would give this probably about. I'd probably give it about a 4. Quite honestly, which is not saying very much for the next 2 movies because I know they're actually worse. But that's the thing with movies is that you're gonna find. That's the thing about it is you're gonna find. We're gonna end up with the way that I see this is that movies are gonna be good, movies are gonna be bad. Um, this one didn't make it for me. That's why I give it a 4. Um, Now I may like the next one. Maybe the next one will pick it up a little bit. Um, I think the problem with this one is that there was just no sense of urgency. There's a lot of confusing mess in there. Um, and it wasn't like it didn't have the Phantasm feel like the first one did. That weird kind of surreal, is it real, is it not type of aspect. That's and I'm gonna keep hitting that point because that was what the first one. That's what the first one was built off of. That was what Phantasm was built on. Was the idea of you don't know what is real, what isn't real.
Which I think they get more into that in the last one. They kind of go
Well, I'm
right back to that.
I'm hoping they do because by the time we get to the second movie, they just kind of drop all that. It's straightforward, you know, we know what is real, what isn't real type of thing. And then this movie kind of continues with that, but it doesn't give you any sort of scares or anything like that. It's just kind of like I said before, Phantasm, the road trip. That's what I'm labeling this one.
Well, let's look at Rotten Tomatoes.
Tomato.
The tomato meter on a scale of 1 to 100%.
Okay, guys, we're talking about percentages now.
Yay, percentage.
Yay. All right, guys, throw your percentages out there.
I just found a horror movie that has an amazing tomato meter ranking.
Okay, so this is the critics. If you guys want to throw out the audience score, also you can. But this is the critics one we're about to announce. Jeremy, I'm gonna go with uh, I'm gonna go with a 37. Ooh, look at that! Rainfire got 37 in there for the audience, which I'll announce my audience after we get through the main one here. So
And the closest without going over is PJ with 42%. The tomato meter was 44%.
so splat.
It was definitely a splat. And a lot of people really didn't even leave a review. Most people just said it's has none of the surrealistic excess that made the first movie such a genuine delight, like you were saying.
Yeah, there's just something about that kind of strangeness to it. And I'm not saying like the first one is a masterpiece.
But it kept your attention.
Hey, I heard talking back there, Jeremy.
I don't hear anybody.
Oh, don't give me that. I hear someone back there.
Only thing I can think
I'm
of
not.
is it's my TV that I might have left on in the living room.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, like I said, the first movie is not entirely a. I don't think it's a masterpiece, not at all. But it does have fun moments, even like the campy moments, like the the older brother in the cemetery with the girl, or whatever, and then Mike
That's
just
my
runs past him.
brother.
"Ah!" He just runs straight across the screen, and Jody's getting up. He's got like the underwear in his mouth, and he's just like, "Oh, that was my brother," and it's just like, what? This doesn't make any sense. I'd rather have more of those moments, those kind of really awkward, goofy moments, than whatever this was. I mean, like I said, the acting, the actors themselves weren't bad. I'm not sitting here
I
going,
think it was
"Wow, they."
writing. I think that's what really did this one was
I
just
think, yeah,
writing.
it was the writing of this thing.
Poor writing just kind of ruined this movie. But going to the audience score, same thing, scale of 100%.
Okay, so on the audience score, Ravens putting in a 37, PJ is putting in a 40. I'm gonna bump it up to a 53.
And I thought I didn't Raven Fire, but I guess I might have left the TV on. I can't hear with these headphones on.
No, she's laughing at you.
You said 53, she said 37. What does PJ say? A 40?
Yeah, PJ said 40.
And the highest that did not go over is PJ again with a 40. The answer was 43%.
I hate this movie. I hate this movie so much. No, actually, I don't hate this movie. I would actually watch this movie over Vacancy 2.
Oh yeah, better than Vacancy 2, baby.
We've covered quite a few movies on this podcast so far. It's amazing we've gone this long. But there are movies that I would prefer to watch.
Dang, that's hurtful. Surprised we've
What?
made it this long.
No, I mean, like, not I figured we would. It's just strange because, when you start these things up, you don't ever really see yourself going the distance. I know we're still young, we're still fresh,
We
you
can
know,
go the distance. We know
five
every mile.
5 years from now, I'm gonna have bags under my eyes and long hair. I'll be looking like the tall man in about 5 years. And then we'll have to come back to these movies and just start doing these movies again, right? And yeah, I know, guys, still building. Woo, geez, Jason, have a little faith. I have faith. But look, you see the background? You see our little background right now with the tall man and whatnot? That's what I'm gonna look like in 5 years. I'm gonna be very elegant. I'm gonna have that throne thing he's got going on. So we're gonna be like, "Welcome to Scary Stories by the Campfire. When you click on this link, you come to us." You think
You thought you saw a good movie, boy, but now the movie's over.
now we talk? Yes, yes, I'm gonna have hair just like that.
That's your
I'm
Halloween
already,
costume, Jason.
I'm already, huh?
That's gonna be your Halloween costume.
That's gonna be my Halloween costume. I'm gonna go as the tall man. I'm gonna go as the tall man for Pensacon.
And make the
I'm gonna go
girls
as
your dwarfs.
I'm gonna make the girls the lurkers. Yes, I'm gonna make my little ones lurkers. They're gonna be like little Jawas. It's gonna be fun. And I'm just gonna tell them to like hobble around and go, you know, they're gonna have fun doing that. And then Jeremy, we'll shave your head and you can be Reggie.
Oh yeah, I'll get me a partial bald cap and be Reggie. I just gotta hit on every girl that walks around.
Oh God. Yeah, pretty much just hit on anything that's got two legs. Because I think Ash did that too. He did that a lot. He hit on everything, and look what it got him. Speaking of which, now that I'm just now noticing we've referenced Ash a lot. At least I have.
It's because Reggie is basically Ash, just a
Yeah,
bald version of him.
but here's the thing. Now that we're speaking about it, the three whatever they were, I almost thought of them as like raiders from Fallout. The three that jumped Reggie when he got into town,
Oh yeah,
and then they got killed by Tim, who single-handedly took out all of them
with a frisbee.
with a frisbee. Later on, when they come back, kind of in the finale, and they're just maniacal.
Yeah,
I looked over at Raven. I said, "Are we watching Evil Dead?"
they did look like deadites.
They are them deadites. That's what they are. Them's the deadites. So we have a bald Ash taking on deadites. And I'm thinking to myself, this is Evil Dead. We're just watching Evil Dead, but it's not as good. Evil Dead is I think the
Tim looking kind of grim.
Tim looking kind of grim. Um yeah, I do think like I know
This
a
is
lot of
great
people.
value, Evil Dead.
Well, see, compare and that's the interesting thing is that the first Phantasm, if you compare the first Phantasm to the first Evil Dead movie, it's they're two separate entities. They are two totally different films. This one itself feels like a really bad kind of Evil Dead knockoff. This is what would you say? Great value Evil Dead.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
Walmart brand.
I don't want to devalue this movie by saying that, but there were a lot of parallels I was just noticing, and I was just like, if I blinked, I thought I was in a different movie. Like this wasn't Phantasm. This was like Evil Dead from another dimension. And I would like to see like Reggie and Ash team up. That would be fun. Especially like just use the original actors. Use Bruce Campbell and who is this? Reggie Bannister, I think
Yeah,
is what his name is. Use these two guys and just have them duke it out with a bunch of evil. That would be fun. I could see that. But this movie just didn't feel phantasmish. You can't base everything off of floating balls. I mean, if you cut out those weird deadite kind of characters, because what were they? They weren't lurkers. They just bring them back to life.
yeah, he did. He was Lord of the Dead.
Yeah, that it. those guys just didn't fit for me. They didn't at all.
Well, we'll see how they compare in the next one because we are out of time. But next week is Phantasm 4
And what's that one called? Does that one have like a subtitle?
Oblivion.
Oh God! Anything with Oblivion, unless it's Elder Scrolls, is probably pretty terrible.
Well, we shall find out next week. We'll be here movie night Monday. Come join us as we'll probably be making a lot of fun of that movie. Let's go, Reggie!
It's Jeremy Necromancy, buddy. Jeremy's Necromancy. All right, later, guys.
Let's go, Reggie!
Reggie, really?
Phantasm. The delusion of a disordered mind. A phantom. A spirit. A terrifying motion picture experience. For 20 years, the secret of the spheres has remained a mystery. Now, two innocent people are about to confront the ultimate evil.
The final game. I'll begin.
Sci-fi horror thriller with balls. Phantasm 4. Boy. Coming soon.